Fuck Batman. Okay, now I'm ready. Okay.
It's the Jake and Ben Show. 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 Oh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Jake and Ben Show. I'm Jake, and I'm here with Ben.
Fuck Batman.
All right, and fuck Batman. We got some things to talk about today. As you can tell from our Fuck Batman, we got Titans. This Titans trailer I just got up here. We're gonna talk a little bit about a little Lando and Star Wars. We're gonna talk a little bit about I'm blanking on everything we just talked about.
Comcast, some Joker, some Zombieland 2. We got some fun stuff.
Yeah, it's just a whole little potluck of little ideas and topics we're gonna talk about. So Ben, if you wanna give us a rundown of the first topic.
Okay, so Titans, DC streaming service. We talked about this a little bit ago. They've come out. They've dropped this Titans trailer. Along with that, they've released the price for this DC streaming service, which you could pay $79 for the year subscription, or you can pay $7.99 per month. So this is their big get, Titans. You know, this is their first one to say, this is what you gotta, get a streaming service for. Watch the trailer, and this trailer stinks.
It does. It does.
This is not what you want for your, this is what's gonna get people to, get a subscription.
Super cheap.
This is it. It sucks balls, and it goes above and beyond to say, I'm dark. Watch me.
I know.
Fuck Batman.
I know.
And even if you watch a trailer and you see Robin come into action, and then they're like, yo, where's Batman? I think that's a good line, but you totally ruin it once he says, fuck Batman. And it's
funny because that's stood out the most is the fuck Batman. I was watching it with you on Skype, and you heard me say, fuck Batman. No, I can't get it out of my head. It's so dumb.
I know, that's the only thing I can think about in this trailer. And what I'll say is that I watch shows like Arrow, The Flash, and with the CW, when I say this trailer has a CW feel in the worst way. All the bad stuff I dislike about the CW shows, I can feel in this, and even when it goes into this really corny song, all the CW shows have this really, they just put in a song that's not necessary, just too cheesy. And they're trying to say, hey, look, guys, we're really dark, we're brutal, and it's bashing you over the head with, I'm dark. And the trailer doesn't work. The series might be awesome. I've seen trailers for movies that are awesome. Movie stinks. I've seen trailers, that stink and a movie's good. However, I think this,
it looks like it's super cheeseball, super cheesy. And it's trying so hard. You can feel it trying, which is on one hand, it's kind of admirable that they're doing this hard. We got some language in there, we got some blood in there, but on the other hand, it's you can really tell that they're aware that they're doing this. You have the really on the nose fuck Batman. There's a couple of shots in there that are kind of cool, and the dark stuff works, the dude with the bloody face, and he's looking up to the ceiling, he's dead or whatnot, but then a lot of it's just look at us, we're super edgy, and it's fuck Batman.
Yeah, fuck Batman, fuck him. But, costume. The Robin costume it looks good for what you would think of a TV show. I think the costume looks good, but that's all I gotta say. There's some good shots, but boring, stinks. I'm not gonna throw it under the bus quite yet. I'll wait and see. What else they show. Maybe the series will turn out well. I still feel like there's, some promise with this DC streaming service, but I'm not getting it right away based on this trailer. Stinks.
Yeah. Let's talk about someone else now. Yeah.
So Comcast, how there was a whole bidding war for 20th Century Fox, the assets, Disney, Comcast. They were throwing big money at it. Now,
huge.
Disney came out and they I forget the exact offer, but it was something like $79 billion and stocks for Fox, which was a $10 billion, maybe $10 billion more than Comcast offer. Comcast has now said we're stepping down. So that is official, that Comcast has stepped out of the bidding war for 20th Century Fox. Now, that doesn't mean It's confirmed that it's happening. However, most likely Disney, Fox deal will happen. However, the whole board of directors, they got to do their whole vote, and that will be happening, I think, maybe within the next week. So they said this deal might take about a year and a half to go through. We're at the half point, so we got about a year left, and looks like it's going to happen.
Wow. I mean, I've kind of just since I originally heard about this story way back when, or when it originally started, like 6 months ago, or I don't know when it was, but when Disney was in talks about buying 20th Century Fox, I've just kind of assumed that was going to happen this whole time. So when Comcast stepped in, it's like, oh, all this shit's going to happen. I was never too interested in it or too concerned about it. I've just always been under the impression that Disney would successfully purchase 20th Century Fox. So it's no surprise to me that Comcast stepped down. I don't really know if there's anything I can add to, people have talked about what Disney gets out of it and what it's going to do to, things that we enjoy, such as the MCU or whatnot. But that's definitely smaller down on the list of 20th Century Fox properties. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that sparked this whole conversation was when Disney came out and said, hey, we're going to be getting into the streaming service world. They came out and said, we're going to do this Star Wars live action series. We're going to have all our Marvel properties on here. We're going to do some Marvel TV shows here. And then what did they also want to do? They wanted to add TV shows, movies to the streaming service, and they looked to Fox, which has many TV shows, obviously a lot of movies that would add to the streaming service. So when this story first hit, it was always about the streaming service, and then somebody like me, I'll look at, oh, well, now we can get Fantastic Four. In the MCU, we can get the X-Men. We can, hopefully get a good Doctor Doom. That type of, stuff. So, for me, I look at more of the MCU, Fantastic Four, X-Men stuff. However, it's definitely going to benefit their streaming service. So, and also to mention AT&T and Warner Brothers, they had a whole, they had they made a deal. However, it was, government was trying to get it blocked. That was approved, so that was a hurdle that was cleared for Disney and Fox. So that when this year from now, it'll happen, we'll be in motion. So, yeah, it's happening. There you go. It's not, some people ran and said, oh, it's 100%, it's a done deal. It's not a done deal yet. However, it's pretty close to it.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Now, we talked about a standalone Joker movie a while back. And at the time when this whole standalone Joker movie was talked about, they were talking about Martin Scorsese, Todd Phillips. Now, Scorsese, from now, not involved. However, there's a producer that he's worked with working on this film now. It got the green light, around a $55 million budget. We have Joaquin Phoenix, and we have a title, Joker. And guess what? We have a date also. October 4th, 2019. Joker standalone movie with Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd Phillips. Are you excited for this?
I'm excited for it. I think just only for Joaquin Phoenix, because he's probably one of the best actors alive today. And I think him casted as the Joker casted as Joaquin Phoenix is fucking super inspired casting. I couldn't even think of a better, that's just fascinating. I think it's going to be great. I don't care about Todd Phillips. I don't care about these producers. Martin Scorsese was originally the one that everyone was all hyped about, and then you're mentioning this other one that he's worked with. I don't really give a shit about any of them. I think Joaquin Phoenix is really the most interesting thing about this project, and for that is, especially coming off Jared Leto. Which was it was kind of all right. To fucking step up from Jared Leto to Joaquin Phoenix is refreshing. It's nice.
Yes, it is. And I'll say, the thing that gets me excited about this is, Joaquin Phoenix. And when you mentioned coming off of Jared Leto, I've talked about Jared Leto a lot, not here though. I think he is a great actor, but what he did with the Joker I thought was awful. I thought it was terrible, and I'm glad that it's not this standalone Jared Leto Joker movie that was also talked about. There's going to be a standalone Joker movie, and you tell me Joaquin Phoenix gets me excited. Now, would you want me to read you a quote from Joaquin Phoenix now I can read this whole quote, but what gets me even more excited for him playing the Joker is the last bit of this quote. So I'll just go into it. So he goes on to say, I take a lot of time considering when making decisions and what I'm going to work on always. So in some ways, the process, which is obviously reading a script, meeting with the filmmaker, and then continuing to have meetings and discussions with Todd Phillips, I think he's very impressive, and he seems to have a very interesting understanding of this world and what he's trying to say. And so there is something very appealing about that, working with him on this particular project. It feels unique. It's in its own world in some ways, and maybe mostly, this is what gets me. It scares the fucking shit out of me, he says, or something. Might as well, be something that scares you the most. Now, you hear a quote, why does it scare the fucking shit out of me? Get me excited. It does, because you've had this Heath Ledger Joker. People say he's one of the greatest villains. Won an Oscar for that. Then you come off with Jared Leto, and it's, I'd rather not talk about him. I just think Joaquin Phoenix is the type of guy, if you're going to do a standalone Joker movie, he's the guy to take it over the edge. And I'm excited to see what he's going to do. And with this October date, close to Halloween, I like that. And even, I like the Halloween date. And this is on a side note, but I would love to see a Batman movie open up on Halloween. Said, discussion for another time. But I like the date. Yeah. It's going to be shooting this fall, so it's shooting soon. I like that you got a $55 million budget. It doesn't have to come and make $200 million opening weekend. If it makes 60, 70, you already got a hit, and I'm excited.
Yeah, typically if I have hear an actor speak like this, I don't really think too much of it, because a lot of it, it's just PR spins. Like, of course, you're not going to talk shit on a movie and you're going to praise it, but a dude like Joaquin Phoenix, I feel like would be genuine. He comes off to me as like a true artiste, if you know what I mean. He's not like he's not like Ben Affleck at Comic-Con saying he's going to be Batman forever.
I would play a fucking ape for Matt Reeves.
Right. Joaquin Phoenix doesn't rub me as that kind of person. So these comments do excite me a little more. The idea of it scaring him is interesting to me, because I've always found the Joker to be legitimately scary. We're going to talk about The Dark Knight later, but even the Joker in that film is terrifying. Just like what he believes in and how he shows those beliefs, I think, is frightening. So to hear that from Joaquin Phoenix is promising to me, and I like the sound of that a lot. It doesn't get me too fired up, but I think it's great. Just like I said, Joaquin Phoenix, I'm super excited to see what he does. But yeah. Also, side note, I hit over a pack of gum while you were talking, and I kicked my computer. So I don't know if you're gonna hear that, but if there's like random noises in the background, that's me being an idiot.
Okay. Well, I'll top off this Joker stuff real quick with, he did. Joaquin Phoenix did an interview with Collider. There's interesting quotes, but I'll paraphrase some of them. He goes on to say that, he, always thought about why not do like a small one-off movie of these type of characters, and that how, to do a true character study on a guy like the Joker is what he's looking forward to do. And yes. I'm excited for it, and
there should be more one-off movies. Not everything has to be a universe. There should be more movies like this.
Yeah, and to that, this wasn't confirmed. Maybe it will be, it's Comic-Con. DC's got their panel Saturday. Maybe they'll, confirm this. But what was talked about from, sites that there's going to be these two different brands of DC. Is that you got your DC, expanded universe, and then you're going to have this DC Dark or DC Black of your standalones of a Joker or whatever else. So I think it's exciting, and with October,
I love the sound of that. Yeah,
you're like 30 months after that, or 2 months after that, you have Wonder Woman 2 releasing also. So it's gonna, DC. I'm not gonna get too ahead of myself, even with Comic-Con this panel. I won't get too ahead of myself, but I talked about, from what I've heard of how Walter Hamada is running it, I got faith, and I'm starting to get, more charged up as time goes on. More here.
Agreed. Now, I'm very excited that it's not just this universe, and that it's going to have some more originality to it, some little flair, that MCU isn't doing that I think the genre needs. Anyways.
So,
what's next?
Were you a fan of Zombieland?
Yes, big fan. Big fan.
Well, guess what? It's getting a sequel. Only about a decade later. Zombieland 2. So, Sony slated this for, we're talking about October of 2019. This is slated for October 11th, 2019. So, that'd be pretty tight for Joker and Zombieland. That's what, like a week apart? No. So you got returning cast. You got Emma Stone, Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, and Abigail, whatever her last name is. Sorry, I forget. I probably should have wrote down her last name. Oops.
Abigail Breslin?
But yeah. There you go, her. Yeah,
you
so
guys
you
are
got
just on a
returning
first name
cast.
basis. I get it.
We
You guys
are.
best
I'm good friends with her, yeah. I'm good friends with her. So yeah, it's coming out. Are you excited?
Yeah, I am. Zombieland that came out, what, 2000?
Well, hey, I don't want to stop you there, but you know what else I forgot to mention?
What?
I believe Todd Phillips he directed the first Zombieland. I'll fact check that.
I believe
which
you are
if that's the case,
incorrect. I believe you are.
Was it Todd Phillips?
No.
It wasn't Todd. Well,
I'm
anyways,
Googling
I know the writers. The Deadpool writers, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick.
It was
are
Ruben
coming back to this.
Ruben Fleischer?
You know what got me thinking of that? It's because I got that mixed up. He's doing Venom, which comes out October of this year.
Oh,
So-
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excuse that clacking. I got a clacky ass keyboard, so I googled that there. I'm sure you heard the clacking. But
I
it's
did,
okay.
but it wasn't that bad.
It's okay. We're breaking
So, yeah.
down the wall.
We're going down.
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Zombieland. This came out in 2009. However, I'm totally down for a sequel. Okay, I got a question for you though, Ben.
Ask me a question.
Do you think with this sequel, it's gonna be the same thing? I'm not sure if you've seen Zombieland. I'm sure you have, or if you're a big fan
I
of it.
have, yeah.
But
I'm
do you
not a big
think-
fan, but I've seen it.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. Do you think it's gonna be kind of more of the same shtick because it's almost 10? It's gonna be 10 years old, or are they gonna actually expand on it and do the exact same thing? Do something brand new. How do you think they're gonna take this sequel?
Well, see, that is a very good question, and let me take you back. I've seen this movie once. When I say I wasn't a big fan of it, I liked it from what I remember. But I remember going to the theaters and seeing this. I was a young lad then, and I remember the people working there were like, "Are you sure you want to see this movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to see this." I'm like, it's very gory, so if you can walk out and you get your money back, that's one significant thing I remember of seeing the movie. But I remember liking it. I've seen it once. There's a lot of significant things I remember, like Bill Murray and the third act.
Yeah.
I would like to see something different and you can expand on than doing the same old thing. For me, the zombie craze, I'm way over it.
For sure.
I watch zombie
yeah.
stuff and it's all the same and I've seen it all.
I think
just
as a
don't care about
culture,
zombies.
we're kind of done with zombies too.
Yeah. The last zombie thing that I've seen that I was kind of interested in, and I was late on the boat to Game of Thrones. It was like a year ago that I started watching it. Now, it's one of my favorite TV shows, and what they've done with, the White Walkers, I feel like that's a kind of unique zombie-esque thing, which that kind of got me back into zombies a bit, but not too much.
Interesting.
So I'm not too excited about this. I mean, I like the cast. I did in the first one. Just don't really care about zombies that much. I like the writers, Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who I believe were original writers, wrote Deadpool and Deadpool 2.
I
They
think
did
so.
Life.
Those names ring a bell.
Yeah, so I'm excited, but I'm not over the moon for it.
All right. I'm quite
Yeah, and
excited.
to your question, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I'll pose the question back to you.
Let's do it.
What would you like to see from this?
All right. I'm actually quite a fan of Zombieland. I've seen it multiple times. Yeah, it came out in 2009. I'm sure I saw it in 2009, and I've watched it plenty of times since then. So it almost feels like the latter half of my life was just like I grew up with Zombieland. That kind of feeling. That's what it has in my mind. I have vivid memories watching it in my dad's basement years ago. So I'm definitely excited for Zombieland 2. I love that the cast is coming back, and I hope that it's something wholly unique and it's not a retread of kind of the same beats about getting to their families or getting a Twinkie, and Emma Stone and Abigail Breslin playing tricks. I hope we do something new and refreshing, and to feel like a sequel, not a reboot at all. I don't like. I'm not a big fan of the soft reboot disguised as a sequel kind of thing. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. The first one is great, and the first one does some unique things. And even I know we're kind of tired of zombies, but the first one kind of plays with the conventions of zombies, with like the rules and whatnot. So I hope we add some layers to the whole zombie genre, because I think it's definitely needed. Yeah. Did you know Woody Harrelson's dad was a hitman?
I didn't know that. That is,
Yeah.
that's interesting. There, look at that.
I was listening to a podcast the other day and I heard that and I thought, you know what, when we started talking about Zombieland, I'm like, oh, I'm going to tell Ben that. And it's weird, right? Because he's like, Woody Harrelson, he seems kind of lovable.
Yeah, he does seem so. I mean, everything I've heard of him, he seems like a really,
Yeah.
chill guy. Cool.
Yeah. Anyways, there's a fun little factoid.
Yeah, nice little tidbit. Dad was it. So is his dad dead? Is he in
His
prison?
dad, I believe, died in prison. He was in jail for killing a judge.
A judge.
Yes, I believe he was in jail for killing a judge, and then
Now, was this judge one of his hits, or was he just like, I'm going to kill a judge?
no, I think it was one of his hits. I believe it was one of his
So
hits.
then he must have been a bad hitman if he's getting caught.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to hire him.
Yeah, well,
How many
I
hits
don't want
did
to
he-
hire him
did he do?
anymore. I'm not sure. This is funny.
Was it
This
just
is
a
very
one and done?
No, I don't think so. I think he. Let me Google how many people did Woody Harrelson's dad kill.
Yeah, that is something I want to know. How many people he killed?
Yeah, on the podcast I was watching, they were talking about this exactly, and one of them asked the other host of the podcast, how many people did he kill? So it's funny that that's the first question you have too. I mean,
is
it's
that?
definitely it says a lot about us as people that we want to know what his body count is, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like this whole article on him here. So, oh yes, that's right. He did try to escape from prison.
He tried to escape.
He got escaped, and then he got locked up in another higher security prison, and that's where he died.
Wow.
Yeah,
Look
I'm
at
seeing
that.
3 murder charges right
Three
here.
murder charges. Okay, so he was caught for 3 of them.
Well, I imagine once
Once they got him for the one, they pinned him for the others.
Yeah, because I mean, like,
Well, so then my other question would be, which you may not have the answer, but I'm curious, to find out whenever. When he got caught, did he rat out the person that, he did the hit for? Did he just take it, it's, I'm a hitman. I get hired to kill. I'm not going to rat the people out who hired me.
I don't know. All I've seen right here on the top of his Wikipedia page is that he was an American organized crime figure who was convicted of assassinating federal judge John H. Wood Jr., and he was the first federal judge to have been killed in the 20th century. So, he's an American organized crime figure. So, I don't know if, like, he worked for, like, the same, like, crime family, or if, like, he was just, like, freelance hitman, or how it worked. All I know is that he killed a motherfucker and then went to jail for it, and then he died.
So do you think Woody Harrelson is such like a cool, seems like a nice guy, seems like a peaceful guy also. Do you think he's like that because his dad was a hitman?
I don't even know his relation. It was his estranged father, to be
Okay.
fair.
Okay.
But I don't know what their relationship is beyond that. I'm going to have to assume Woody Harrelson didn't find out about it until late in life, or wasn't close with his dad, or didn't know his dad. These are all assumptions, but I'm not sure. We're more passionate about Woody Harrelson's murder-hungry father than we are about the Titans trailer. We've probably talked
That's for
longer
damn
about
sure.
this, and more passionately than the Titans trailer. Why doesn't DC... Sorry, my phone is off.
Batman.
Why doesn't DC make a streaming service and make their first show a documentary about Charles Harrelson? Because fuck
Well,
Batman.
how about, what? You create a new Deadshot. And Deadshot can, you can just keep the name Deadshot, but you put Woody Harrelson's dad as Deadshot. You can base it off him.
Wait, oh, look at that. So it's like part based on true story, part comic book fantasy.
Yeah.
Huh. 25-minute mark, and about 10 of these minutes are about some hitman.
Well, I'll say this about Woody. I haven't heard Woody talk much of, like, I haven't listened to him talk. There's only one thing I've heard him talk, but outside of movies, just him talking. And it was, he called into Howard Stern show. This was maybe close to 10 years ago. And he was on the phone with, what's his name? Wow, see, that just ruins it, because what's his name? It's a guy who smokes weed a lot. He's a country musician. He's, man, that's going to kill me that I forget his name, because I should know
Bruce
his name.
Springsteen.
No, it's not Bruce. He's, well, anyways, yeah, I heard him talk. He was with this one guy. It was, he seems like a nice guy. But anyways, enough of Woody Harrelson. You know why? I want to talk about some Black Widow. Are you a fan of Black Widow?
Very much so. Super fan of Black Widow. I want her to get her own movie.
Well, we're talking, we talked about 2009 with Zombieland. What I was thinking about in 2009 was Black Widow and Iron Man 2. And, I naturally thought, hey, are we going to get a Black Widow movie? Are we ever going to get one? Well, we finally are. Well, it looks like we finally are. Things could still happen. And it's got a director. They looked at like 70 people. They went through an extensive search. They finally got one, and her name is Kate Shortland. Now, I didn't know who she was. I just heard she was announced. I heard that, she's, good director. Scarlett Johansson really pulled for her. And so I went, I wanted to watch some of her stuff. So I go on Netflix, I look up Kate Shortland, and there's a film on there called Berlin Syndrome, which you had mentioned when you looked at Kate Shortland when I told you about Kate Shortland. Well, I told you about the Black Widow director, and you're like, oh, this looks cool. And I say, hey, guess what? I seen it. And I won't do like a review on it. I'll just talk about Kate Shortland as a director. I like this choice, and there are other films I want to see of hers that I've heard a lot about now that I know of her. And with this, what I'll say is I've heard she's very much like a character director. She, it's all about the character. With that gets me excited with Black Widow, because if I get a Black Widow movie, I'd like to, really dive deep in on Black Widow. So I watched this Berlin Syndrome, and like I didn't know anything of it. I just watched it. And then midway watching, I'm like, I'm just going to quickly look it up on IMDb, and it shows that it's like a horror mystery. And I'm like, the first 10 minutes, I'm like, wait, this is a horror mystery? Because it feels like a romance. And like within like the first 20 minutes, it takes a turn and does stuff. And I think it is a very good film. It's an independent film. Check it out. It's unsettling. I'll say that. It's very good. I think it's very good.
Makes me really excited about this pick. Is I didn't know who she was, this director. I haven't heard of her until now, until we started talking about her earlier. But I look at her filmography. She's done some short films, she's done a lot of TV, and she's done a handful of some indie films. And it's like I looked up some reviews quick. They all got pretty positive reviews. This is an established indie director who seems to have a unique vision, I guess, just like, based off just quickly reading synopsises or watching the trailer for that Berlin Syndrome movie. I like that they're grabbing this unknown who has this experience and letting her do this big blockbuster movie. I know it's kind of the formula is you make one indie film, then you get the big blockbuster movie. That I don't know if that people still talk like that anymore, but Colin Trevorrow made that time traveling movie or whatever, and you gave him Jurassic World.
And John Watts, who directed Spider-Man: Homecoming, he directed this indie film. Stuff like a cop. I didn't watch it, right. But Cop Car. I heard it was good, and then got Spider-Man.
Exactly. So that seems to be the thing. But I like this is that she has an array of experience. I'm sure these directors of Spider-Man and Colin Trevorrow have also had shorts in their past, but just really looking at her experience, she's just an established indie director who is building a name for herself. She didn't make one movie then get this big movie. Like she has this really solid filmography that I really want to see. Like I was going through her IMDb, and I'm gonna go back and watch her 3 feature films or whatnot. I love this pick. It feels super inspired. I love that Scarlett Johansson was pulling for her. this Berlin Syndrome movie has me really intrigued, and I really want to watch it. It's just such a unique pick. I'm happy I don't know her. I'm happy she has this experience. And yeah, I kind of stumbled on my words sometimes there. I was just
I want
really trying to get that out.
And this is something that really I just thought was surprising. And for you've directed, your own indie films. They looked at like 70, like their short list was like 70 directors. I'm sure they looked at like 150. They looked at a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they looked at a lot of big time names, I'm sure. What really, wow, that she must have a drive and, like you say, unique vision. She got the job without representation. To me, I'm like, she got the job without having somebody representing her. She didn't have,
right.
Yeah, no, any representation to, like, pull for her. She just went in and got it herself, which I think is crazy.
Yeah, no, definitely. She must have a vision for it. She's got to have unique eyes. There's something there that she gets it over everyone else. And I'm really curious to see her work. And I'm super excited for a Black Widow movie. Since the first Avengers movie, I've wanted one. I love Scarlett Johansson. I think there's a lot of stuff you can do with that character. I like that she's a human in this world of gods and, aliens and whatnot. I like that we have a human that can still pull her own and be completely badass and still be a relevant member of, this team and universe. So for that reason, I love Black Widow. And I'm just excited to see this, and I love the direction it's heading.
Would you rather see a prequel of Black Widow, or would you like to see it just following what's come?
I don't know if I have a preference. When I think prequel, I think her flashbacks and stuff in Age of Ultron, which I think could make for a solid movie, and I'd be interested to see that for sure. But if you wanna move forward and just tell a new story, I don't know if I have a preference. I'm fine with either one.
Would you like to see, now I'll give you one last question, would you like to see just solely Black Widow, maybe a Nick Fury if he's still around, which this wasn't something I wrote down, but Spider-Man Far From Home is filming, and hey, we might have Nick Fury in there. I'm not sure, that's spoiler for some people. But would you like to see maybe a Nick Fury in there, or like a Hawkeye, or somebody like a Spider-Man or an Ant-Man?
No, I don't want a Spider-Man in there. I don't want an Ant-Man. I don't want another super powered being in there with her. I want it to be a very human story. I want it just her. I mean, you can throw Nick Fury in there, or some type of mentor human character. Maybe you can throw Hawkeye in there. I don't know. Because they feel like Hawkeye and Black Widow feel like they have a very similar role in the MCU. And putting them both in the same movie makes them feel like this movie is about that role instead of about the one character. If you know what I mean. They feel too similar to put them both in the movie. So I would, maybe throw Nick Fury in there. But nah, you don't. I don't really want Hawkeye, and I definitely don't want another MCU hero. So,
yeah, I think I gotta agree with you. I would like to see this. I want to see Black Widow, and you could give me some Nick Fury. All right.
Yeah.
So, this was this came out like a week ago or so, but I'll mention this one at first. Keri Russell, who she was in Felicity. She's in The Americans. Mission Impossible 3, worked with JJ, and JJ with some TV stuff, obviously. She was, I'll do air quotes, you can picture that in your head, cast in Episode 9, Star Wars. Now, that wasn't confirmed by Lucasfilm. Now, neither is this next one of Billy D. Williams coming back as Lando on this. Now, here's what I'll say to that. I just want to say that because a lot of people ran with, it's hashtag confirmed. It hasn't been confirmed by Lucasfilm, however. I believe this, this has happened because work with JJ. JJ likes to bring back people he's worked with. And that was announced around, I think a little after 4th of July, and the story said that they informed her before 4th of July. Why I think Keri Russell is in it, because I would think Lucasfilm would be quick to come out and deny that, if that were the case. Especially a lot of chatter came after that of who could she be? I'm sure Lucasfilm would have wanted to deny that if it wasn't true. Now, with Billy D. Williams, the Hollywood Reporter came out and said, Billy D. has canceled an appearance at, some con or some panel because of it conflicted with an acting role he has. And I believe his son came out and said, he's on a diet now. And now he could just be on a diet for, whatever, for any reason. However, he's on a diet. They say he canceled this, gig because of an acting role. I haven't seen Billy D in a movie in a while. Maybe he has. I just don't, know of it. Now, I got to think Billy D, he's a lock to come back in episode 9. I believe the story. And I think, again, Lucasfilm would have been quick to come out and deny these stories, if not true. So you hear this stuff. Let's get you excited.
Definitely the Lando thing gets me excited. Especially, with JJ behind it, I feel like a lot of JJ's, at least how he handled The Force Awakens, a lot of it played off nostalgia. And I think with Billy D. Williams back, you can really play up that nostalgia as well. And maybe it'll help after the backlash of The Last Jedi too. I don't know. It makes me almost think that they won't kill him off, or I don't know. That's probably a whole other.
I wouldn't.
For another.
I wouldn't want to
time.
see. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see. If you're bringing back Lando, don't kill him.
Yeah.
Don't kill
Well,
him.
I mean,
Not
like they've done that
has to
so
die.
far. I know. But Kerry Russell, I'm not sure I've seen too much of her. I looked her up quickly once I heard about it, and yes, I'm familiar with her face and some of her work. I recognize her, but nothing that makes me jump up and down. I thought both these casting choices or casting news was confirmed. I didn't realize that they both haven't been confirmed.
Yeah,
So-
not by Lucasfilm directly. Just
Right,
I forget
right.
where the Kerry Russell one came from, but a lot of people ran with it, and then the Hollywood Reporter came out with the Lando stuff. Now,
Yeah.
I happen to just believe them. I would think Lucasfilm would have, denied them probably right away, but it's been the Kerry Russell thing's been like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The Lando stuff's been close to a week. I'll quickly just talk about Lando. It would get me excited. I mean, Ryan, he thought of putting Lando in the Canto Bight stuff, but it just didn't fit with the character of Lando, which is why he chose not to have him there. I think it only makes sense to have Lando back. I think it would have been a, complete miss if you don't have Lando in this, trilogy. So I'm happy to see him. I don't think he'll have a large role, but I don't think he'll have like just a cameo. I would like his role not to be huge because there's a lot of stuff going on that I would like to see wrapped up. I want to see a lot of screen time for Ren and Rey.
Yeah.
And I like everybody else, but this is episode 9. It's a culmination. JJ hasn't said this, but there's been people around saying that JJ would like to connect the two trilogies, and I'm excited. There's not much known with the Kerry Russell thing. It was said that she's gonna have like a heavy action based role.
Yeah. I saw that.
However, don't want to get too excited because JJ did cast a lot of guys from the raid. They had
Right.
I don't know, like a 1 minute role.
Are they coming back or what? Were they all eaten?
I got it. Well, no, one of them wasn't eaten. I forget which one it is. There was one of them. I want to say it was Tasu Leech. It wasn't eaten. I could be wrong of who it was. I don't think they're coming back, especially with Han gone. I seen a funny thing. Mark Hamill tweeted out, and then he put it on Instagram. It was like the caption, breaking news: J.J. Abrams, cast, a robe in episode 9. It was just a robe. Nobody in it. It was just a floating robe. I gotta think Mark's coming back.
That's
I think
funny.
it would be ridiculous not to have Mark back. You had Alec Guinness, who didn't like being in the original trilogy, but he was there in Empire. He was there in Return of the Jedi. So I would like to see Mark have not as big of a role that he had in Last Jedi, but still significant. So
Yeah.
I
think he'll be there.
I'm excited. They're going to start filming, I think, in like 2 days. Then we're going to hear
I have
more
a
casting.
question.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's maybe a little off topic, but I'm just curious to see what you think. Do you think JJ is going to retroactively change Rey's parents and do the Kylo Ren was a untrustworthy narrator thing and say, no, her parents are actually this? Do you think that's going to happen?
I'll say this. I again watched The Last Jedi a few days ago. It's my second favorite Star Wars film. I think there's a lot in it. It's a dense film. There's a lot to look into it. I like the idea of just what makes her special is that she isn't anybody. It works for The Last Jedi. However, if JJ, like when George, then when they were making Empire, Return of the Jedi, there was, the idea of there's another out there. The idea of there's another out there wasn't Leia. They just happened to, they were thinking, all right, well, who's it going to be now? They made it Leia. They had other ideas of who it would be, but ultimately it was Leia. I wouldn't be surprised if you get some type of, this is who Rey is. I could see him retconning who she is. I think it would just be too, I wouldn't want to say this is lazy writing, but if you just go with, oh, Kylo Ren, he was just lying to try to turn you. When they talked to each other, they both said, we've seen each other's, future. She says, all right, you're going to turn. They said, well, when the time comes, you're going to turn. I feel he saw something. Maybe he didn't know exactly what it was, but he saw something, and he believes she knows it also, and he just goes from there. So I don't think he's just, he's an asshole liar. I just think he saw something, he said it, and that's the way to go about it, I would think. I mean, in Star Wars, a lot of the times, whether it be Emperor or Darth Vader, they tell a lot of truths in what one would think is a lie. So I wouldn't like to see it now. It's just, all right, he's just, lying. But I wouldn't be surprised if JJ retcons the Rey thing. I'm kind of expecting it at this point. However, I don't want it, but if it happens, however it's executed, we'll see.
It's interesting because, you would think it's a sign of, a lack of organization in the Lucasfilm, under the Lucasfilm umbrella, right? Where they don't have this thing mapped out. But, I mean, that's the original trilogy was like that, too. Could you imagine, you have the original Star Wars and Empire come out today, and you have no, I think that's right. And you have the kiss between Luke and Leia, and then you find out they're related. Do you imagine that happening in modern Star Wars, just like the internet?
A lot of the stuff that happened with, the making, or even stuff that happened in today's, day and age. It would be interesting to see how that went down.
Because, Lucasfilm being under a microscope and all these sweaty nerds, hovering over them 24/7, to have, they criticize them for, they introduce Snoke as, this mysterious figure in Force Awakens, and he dies in the second one. And they bash that for being unorganized or not having a plan or an outline. And I just think, the original trilogy was just, they did one film at a time. It's the same thing. So I think it's interesting for sure.
To me, ultimately, I think the biggest difference there is you did have George spearheading it, whether he knew everything he wanted to do or things changed when it came. The thing with this, ultimately now, JJ, this is JJ's trilogy, considering he now has done 2 of them. So, yeah, I'm just, back on your topic, though, with the whole Snoke, not extensively into the Snoke thing, but you mentioned the whole Snoke thing. And this is not attacking one person, but I had this conversation with somebody because we were making fun of Instagram fan accounts, and it all started with you go on Instagram, there's so many Daisy Ridley or Tom Holland fan accounts, and I'll be honest, it's really creepy. They'll just post a picture of Daisy Ridley and put a caption of their day. I just think it's really creepy. So we were talking about it, and then we got on talking about fan accounts for whether it be DC, and what started this conversation. And this is not to attack hardcore fans because I'm one of them also. You're a hardcore fan also. But there's a poster for Aquaman that came out, and there's a shark behind him. And in this, they circle the shark, and then the caption King Shark confirmed. They praise Zack Snyder. So, and I know you're a Zack Snyder fan, but it's James Wan's film. If Zack Snyder has a producer credit on there, we've talked about producer credits. It doesn't really mean much depending on if you're Kevin Feige, then yeah, it does. And we're making fun of that, and then we've seen other things of we were also goofing on. Anytime I see a fan account try to write dialogue for a Deadpool or any other character, it doesn't come off good because it doesn't sound like the character. It sounds like somebody who wants this character to say something, but it's not the character. So ultimately, to go back to the Snoke thing, you'll have a group of people that Snoke's got to be this, and if it's not that, no matter what, they're just going to be angry because this is my vision for Snoke, and if my vision isn't met, I'm going to be upset. That's not everybody, but that is a lot of people. And certain fans, have a vision for what something should be when they've never written or made a film and don't know what it's like. Now, you can call me a dickhead for that, but a lot of the people that do bitch have never made a film or tried to, write a film. it's it's a lot easy to sit back and say, hey, well, Snoke should have been this big, fucking should have been the Emperor. But I mean, ultimately for me, shouldn't have been. Or like, yeah, you set it up, but the thing, and even when I was thinking of Rian Johnson, and maybe you can stop me here if I'm just blabbling too much, but like for filmmaking, Ryan and JJ are two completely different filmmakers.
For sure.
And I love both of them. However, JJ, when he made The Force Awakens, it's nostalgia. It is mystical, like mythical, and it's about these legends. And it will take something like the moment of Luke Skywalker, and not to say it's a more animated, but it's going for the mythical. As Ryan, he's a very real filmmaker. He's going to look at certain decisions and say, well, what would impact this character the most? Then, well, how could we, make this legendary? And whether you like which approach is totally fine. Everybody has their taste, but ultimately, I just think we're in a day and age. No matter what, people are going to be upset. People are going to be upset if there's going to be, if JJ retcons it, people will be upset. People will be upset for everything. They love to criticize things. And even there was an exchange about a month ago when Rian Johnson tweeted about, a great writer is Ralph McQuarrie. And if you want insight, you should go check him out. He does tweet a lot of stuff. So then you get the haters of Last Jedi that, man, it was if you go back and look at this, it's so ridiculous that you get these haters tweeting at, and now not Ralph McQuarrie, Christopher McQuarrie, who directed Mission Impossible Fallout, Rogue Nation, did Jack Reacher, and just the hate that he ended up getting. And he ended up saying yo, Ryan, I gotta however you do this, I commend you, because I got 5 minutes of this, and maybe I wanted to direct a Star Wars movie before, but now I don't, 'cause I don't want to deal with this. So ultimately, I think it's, I guess it's kind of sad how this goes, because you get a great filmmaker like Christopher McQuarrie that's now saying, you know what, it'll get me the fuck out of this. I don't want any part of it, because I don't want to just have this bullshit. Who is, Christopher McQuarrie is a nice guy. You see the tweets, people tweet hate at him, and he's generally nice about it. So, I think this is such a big conversation. It goes to everything.
Yeah.
But,
you're going on that little spiel here.
I'll stop there because it can go all over the place. If you want to add something to that, you can go ahead.
I don't even know what I want to add to that.
Yeah, well, fan accounts. We need to stop them. Everybody wants to.
Yeah, that's right. So,
I boycott. People are saying my boycott is to not see Solo, or your boycott was just I'm gonna sit on the couch today. My boycott is let's fucking get rid of fan accounts because they're so creepy. I'm sure there's fan accounts that are good, but a lot of the ones I see, it's brutal.
Yeah, see, I hadn't even heard of I guess fan accounts just in general I've known are a thing, but you're talking about a Daisy Ridley fan account where they just
I before get people jump down my throat of what I'm saying. It's like the Daisy Ridley fan account, the Tom Holland fan account. Do anybody who's listening, or you, when this is over, go look up on Instagram a Daisy Ridley fan account or a Tom Holland fan account, and tell me you don't get a little bit creeped out. You're gonna get a few laughs, but you're gonna get creeped out a bit.
All right.
And when I mean a fan account, if you love Star Wars, have your fan account. But some of the stuff is really brutal. That's enough for me.
Yeah,
that's enough for me. JJ Ryan, love you. I'm excited for episode 9. Want to see Lando back. Kerry Russell. What I meant to say also is that there should be 2 other casting announcements coming out soon, and I believe they're filming in 2 days. So there's going to be a lot of the Star Wars hype train will be coming back pretty soon, and here we go. Yeah. Wow.
Man, wow. I'm a tired lad. What
we'll top it off with a nice celebration of something. Cause why? What yesterday was?
Is this the last topic?
It's the last one. It's the last one.
All right, I'm gonna lean back my chair here. Let's do it.
Yeah, lean it back. Get comfortable.
I'm gonna do that and lean. Leaning right back. Okay.
There you go.
Let's go. Lean back.
So, do you know what yesterday was? Yesterday marked 10 years since The Dark Knight. Since we had Heath Ledger's Joker, one of the greatest comic book movies, just a great movie in general. 10 years, a decade old, The Dark Knight. Do you remember when The Dark Knight came out? Where were you when The Dark Knight came out?
I was not watching it. The first experience I had with The Dark Knight was my mother had a boyfriend at the time, and I walked upstairs, and they said, we're watching Batman or something like that. So this would have been when The Dark Knight came out on DVD, and that was the first experience I had with The Dark Knight. It wasn't until after The Dark Knight Rises came out in 2012, maybe it was early 2013 at that point, when it came out on Blu-ray. But my mother bought me The Dark Knight Rises on Blu-ray because my cousin was saying, we need to watch the whole Dark Knight trilogy because it is the best trilogy ever. And I thought, okay, sure. This was like, I was into movies, but I was into like super niche like horror films and stuff. Like, I wasn't with the mainstream yet. I was kind of this edgy little kid. I guess I wasn't that little. I was kind of this edgy kid. I loved me some horror, and that's all I watched. But he's like, let's watch the Dark Knight trilogy. I'm like, fine, let's do it. So I got the Dark Knight Rises on Blu-ray, and then I got we borrowed my cousin's Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and I watched all three of them in one afternoon. I guess it goes into tonight, so in one day, I watched all three.
That sounds like a great day.
And I have watched The Dark Knight multiple times since then. I think The Dark Knight is the best of the trilogy. It is one of the best movies ever made. The Joker, Heath Ledger's performance for the Joker is one of the best performances ever. The Joker as the villain is one of the best villains ever. The Dark Knight is just like, I love it, and everyone for the most part loves it. It's praised all over the place, but that's my experience with The Dark Knight. Yeah.
Yeah, the Dark. What a beauty. I was just thinking, the other day when it was, it's 10 years, were some of the things that stood out for me, and just something I go to, I think a lot of people go to, is the interrogation scene between Batman interrogating the Joker. There's a lot of brilliant scenes in the movie, but that is one that just stands out. That is gold, perfect. And like something else I think of when the whole, I guess spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. If it's 10 years, what are you doing? The scene when ultimately following the interrogation, when he finds out where Rachel is, thinking he's going to go save, the woman he loves. And ultimately saves Harvey Dent. And he's like, just the failure of not being able to save the woman he loves, but just save someone. It was beautiful. I love the movie. And yes. You mentioned The Dark Knight Rises. I really like the movie. I think it's I think it's a great movie, but compared to the two before, I definitely have The Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and then Dark Knight Rises. Did you like The Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, I did. And I go back and forth with switching Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises around. Ask me one day and it'll be Batman Begins is preferred. Ask me the next day and it's The Dark Knight Rises. So yeah, I definitely I love all three. I think it's probably the best trilogy ever made.
Yeah. I got it, yeah. So
I'm not one of those Dark Knight Rises haters.
Yeah, I didn't know that the Dark Knight Rises haters were like, because, again, internet, you're going to find a segment of, haters for everything, or people that love something for everything, and I'm just not big on social media. And I remember talking to somebody, and they mentioned hate, and I was like, wait, it got hate? Yeah. And going back and watching it now, it definitely has the biggest lulls of them all. There's definitely a lot of conveniences. However, I do think it is still a beautiful tale of everything that came before.
Yeah, it's a great, almost perfect closing chapter, I think.
So, I know this is the 10 year of The Dark Knight Rises, but I feel it's more of a celebration of the whole Batman trilogy. And, it's great. Like you said, one of the greatest trilogies. Where are you on the ending? Because there's people that like to think, no, Batman really died on there, and then Alfred was just seeing what he wanted to see. Are you one of the people who think Batman really died, or was he there?
I am. I think I subscribe to the theory that Batman did die, and this is Alfred reliving that that dream he tells Bruce at the beginning of the movie. I think that explains away the Batman surviving the nuke thing. However, you can also have the argument, well, it's Batman, he can survive that shit. He has this tech. I get both sides, and I think that's what I love about the ending of The Dark Knight Rises, is it has this almost interpretive feel at the end. It's kind of ambiguous. It feels like not very big studio Hollywood blockbuster ending. It's like, well, shit. I don't know. I like the idea that Batman did die, but...
Yeah, I flipped on that because when I had first seen it, being younger, I'm like, of course Batman lived. It's Batman. Right. Come on, it's Batman. But yeah, now I watch back and I'm like, wait, Like I feel it's a more beautiful tale if he died and Alfred's seeing
For sure.
a dream.
Yeah.
For you mentioned you flip flop with. I mean, I definitely flip flop before, but I think Batman Begins. Remember when that came out in 2005? Just that. It was. I remember being so caught up in it. I loved Batman Begins. I think it's such a great tale, beginning of the Batman, especially coming off of. This was a time when, yeah, you had Spider-Man, which was a big success. You've had a few X-Men movies now, but you still had the stank of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, and Warner Brothers they didn't want to go too hard on it. And then you get a guy like Christopher Nolan that comes in and has a distinct vision, and it's such a beautiful, beautiful movie. Just to lead on to The Dark Knight, great movie.
Yeah,
I
saw
love
The
it.
Dark Knight. I forgot to say this. I saw The Dark Knight at a midnight screening, like a couple years ago, and that was cool. That was cool because I hadn't seen The Dark Knight in theaters, or any of them in theaters. So seeing The Dark Knight in it was like a packed theater at midnight, just like a couple years ago, was sweet. I'm gonna put my feet down now and just get closer to the mic so I don't have to yell so much. All right. Yeah. So when I remember that, like watching it in theaters at one time, I think of the ending. I'm such a huge fan of the Dark Knight ending with Gary Oldman's speech.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And, oh my God, it's fucking incredible.
And yeah, Christopher Nolan I feel captured the essence of Batman.
Oops.
Now,
Yeah.
like this, it's what got me angry. I think I've yelled about this a few times. Is that like by the time Matt Reeves' Batman will have come out, we'll be on like the 10-year anniversary of The Dark Knight Rises, and Batman is just it's one of the best characters, and we've had how many tellings of it, but you can still do it in such a fresh, unique way, and what I like about how now what I hope Matt Reeves does is goes on the detective tale on Batman, the world's greatest detective, as Ra's al Ghul would call him, or Ra's al Ghul, however you want to call him. Were you ever like with Ra's al Ghul? To me, I think the film pronunciation, Ra's al Ghul, I believe, but then you hear Ra's al Ghul.
No,
how would you pronounce the man's name?
Ra's al Ghul, the same way you
Ra's al Ghul,
yeah, I've never even heard of another pronunciation for it.
Ra's. Yeah, I've been hearing Ra's.
But
yeah, to bring this back to one of the first things we talked about was the Joker, which is why ultimately I'm happy that DC and Warner Brothers is doing this DC Dark or Black, whatever they're calling it, and doing these standalone films. Because it opens the door for so much more. You don't have to be the MCU.
Yeah.
What Kevin Feige has done to release 20 movies, and for 20 movies, for the worst thing you can say, ultimately, is that they're okay. It's a fucking great accomplishment, and I don't think we'll ever see it. I don't think Star Wars is going to do what Kevin Feige has done with the MCU. I don't think DC is, and I don't mean that as an insult. I just think just to do that is so hard. So to have your universe, but also have these standalone films, I think you got the right idea and continue with that.
Yeah. That was a good little bow tie there. You just tied a beautiful bow on this episode by wrapping it full circle by drawing that connection. I like that. That was good.
Yeah, look at that.
Now good. I have some like criticisms of The Dark Knight that I don't think hold up as well. But I'm actually I don't know if we're making this
we're going long, and I think it'd be nice to praise it. However,
let's do it.
If you want to, however, no. Give me your one biggest criticism of The Dark Knight.
Ooh, my biggest criticism. Okay. Just because I still love it, but I think it really suffers from its PG-13 rating. I don't usually have that criticism. I think it's bizarre, but I think like there's a lot of the Joker. Does he slit someone's throat? What the fuck was that? Did he just smother him? There's a lot of stuff like that where it's like you can tell.
Yeah, that it had a PG-13 rating.
I think that's probably something that really bothers me about the movie still. But
yeah, I can. But right when we were going to start, I was going to say kind of the opposite of what you were saying, but I can totally understand it. I feel that this movie does tell a dark, real story, and within this PG-13 rating, now you do mention it. When you watch it now, it kind of looks silly when the Joker slits Michael Jai White. I forget his character name. Yeah. I mean, it would definitely. I think it wouldn't have benefited like a huge gap with an hour, but definitely would have made things a bit more sweeter to watch back now. To mention about the R, the Joker is not confirmed to have an R rating, but God, I hope that has an R rating, especially with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, and especially saying it scares the shit out of him. You know, you got some room to play with there. Yeah.
And there was something I mentioned to you. I know you weren't that interested. We won't talk about the story, but Margot Robbie came out a little while ago. She had an interview and mentioned that this Birds of Prey movie that they're doing, she said it will be an R-rated film. However, I don't think that will be the case. I just ultimately think that you can say it's an R rating, but once you start cutting the movie, there's things you could definitely take away from an R rating. But if they are going for R rating, give me that, because I think Suicide Squad is a movie that could have benefited from an R rating.
I want more R-rated movies anyway.
Especially with Logan, Deadpool, we've had these R-rated superhero movies.
They can be successful, and you got more range to play with as a filmmaker and as an artist. So I think not censoring these artists is important, and I love when you can watch them have that free range, like Logan, like Deadpool, and I wish The Dark Knight had that. But But you know what? I think we've said it all for today. I think we have. I think so too. It's been a good episode, Ben.
It's been like, we've been more relaxed. There wasn't anything too crazy to talk about.
I hit my mic with my hand. I hit some gum over. I kicked my computer. I've been drinking
some hot water the whole time. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
No, you drink hot water? Is it tea?
Hot water. I'm a hot water person.
What?
I like tea, but hot water just does my throat wonders.
So you just take a glass of water and put it in the microwave? Or do you put it in a kettle?
I have this thing that just if you go to your tap, it's like that except comes out with hot water. Now I'm not saying I don't mean that, and it's like I can turn it to hot water. I don't mean that as like a
because I was thinking how hot. I was thinking tea level hot, but like a kettle or microwave.
It is. It is. It's not fully there's a knob where you can have it maxed out to be really fucking hot. It's it's a quarter away from being maxed out to really hot. So I tend to go for really hot. For me, when I take that first sip, it's got to burn my tongue and throat.
Interesting. See, I like my coffee like that. I drink coffee rarely, but when I do, I like when it burns me.
I rarely do too, also, but in the summer, sometimes I'll have kicks if I try to get back on coffee. And recently, I was doing coffee, and then I moved up to just do 2 cups. Why? I don't know. And coffee for me has the opposite reaction than most people. I'll have coffee and I just get tired. I don't get energized. I don't get anything out of it. So I can't drink coffee.
See, I don't even think I do get energized. I think it's just placebo effect huge. I think I'm just telling myself I'm going to get some energy, but I don't even think I notice it. I can't believe you drink hot water. That's so interesting.
Yeah, hot water. I think it's a recommendation for anybody who talks a lot or just talks in general and they're tired of their throat getting sore. Have some hot water, and if you really want to go, crazy, add a drop of honey and some lemon, and that.
I could get that more. I could get behind that more so, and I think that'd be good for your throat for sure. I'm a big water guy. I don't drink juice really ever. I don't drink pop at all. I pretty much just drink water. I'll drink almond milk and sometimes regular milk, but water 90% of the time. But to think of doing that hot is that's a big no-no for me. I just couldn't imagine it. I like my water real cold. I like to feel that coldness in my chest.
For me, there's only 2 ways I can have water. I can't have it warm, room temperature, any of that. It has to be really ice cold, and I'll put in ice, a lot of ice. I have it with my water, and if it's not ice cold, it's got to be scorching hot.
Wow. All right.
I'm crazy like that.
Let's end it there.
Now, we'll end it there, and I think we should also mention that today marks first day of San Diego Comic-Con.
Boom.
There'll be a lot of trailers and nuggets that come out, and the biggest one, I think, will be the DC panel that will be Saturday. Now, tomorrow, there's a glass panel. There'll be a trailer for that. There's a lot of trailers for just other stuff.
There's a glass panel. That sounds funny.
Yes, there's a glass panel there. So there'll be a lot of nuggets. There'll be a lot of trailers, and the already one that's been announced is Aquaman. So we'll see an Aquaman trailer. Hopefully we get a Shazam look. There's been a lot of Shazam stuff. I'm really excited for that. But why am I saying this? Why is this important, Jake? Do you want to tell me why?
Because we will be doing a complete Comic-Con recap episode after Comic-Con.
Yes, because I there was things in here I was like, well, Shazam did put out a poster, some photos, Aquaman did this, but why talk about that now when we can talk about the trailer for an Aquaman and all of that with with the San Diego Comic-Con recap, and we could just, get sweaty about it. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. Fuck Batman.
Yeah, fuck Batman.
Woody Harrelson's dad's a hitman.
Yeah, we've learned Woody Harrelson's dad is a hitman. That is what we've learned today. We've also learned that he was at least charged for murdering 3 people, and that he tried to escape from prison, and ultimately he died in prison. Now,
he had 3 criminal charges. I'm not sure if each one was murder. I noticed one was a double life sentence. So I'm not sure where these crimes are coming from. All I know is 100% he killed a judge.
We've learned that Joaquin Phoenix is fucking scared shitless to play the Joker. We've learned...
You should be scared of Woody Harrelson's dad more so than the Joker.
You should be than the Joker. We've also learned that Kate Shortland had no representation going into these meetings.
Boom.
There's a lot to learn. We've learned that The Dark Knight's biggest problem was the PG-13 rating.
Boom.
We've also learned that Zombieland 2, I don't think we learned anything other than that it's coming. And guess what? We also learned that fan accounts need to die.
Boom.
That is what we've learned.
Fuck Batman.
Fuck him.
All right.
Titans
looks like shit. Let's go.
Yes.
Let's end this. We're
getting out of here.
Been helpful, I think, but let's end this bitch. Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Jake and Ben Show. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us. Listen on iTunes. Listen on Google Play. Give us a rating on iTunes.
I have one more thing to say.
Comment. Let's do something.
When
Ben,
you're done,
go ahead.
Where's Batman?
What?
Where's Batman?
Why?
Where's Batman?
I'm confused.
Fuck Batman.
Fuck Batman. Right. I was wondering because I completely forgot they asked where's Batman. I was like, we're just saying fuck Batman, but I completely forgot why he says fuck Batman.
Where's Batman? And you know what? Fuck him. Let's get out of here.
All those places, do your thing. Let us know what you thought of this episode. Let us know how you feel about things. We want to know things. We want to hear from you. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. If you're listening this far, you gotta have things to say. It's been an hour. You have to have things to say.
Yeah. And I made a spiel that I might have sounded like a dickhead. Tell me I'm a dickhead.
You are a dickhead.
Thank you.
All right. Go watch The Dark Knight.
Yeah, watch The Dark Knight. Watch Batman Begins. You know what? Take a day. You're watching the Batman Begins. You're watching The Dark Knight. You're watching Dark Knight Rises.
Do it. Make it happen.
Bye. For now.